Joining us today is award-winning anchor for New York City's Fox 5 News, Ernie Anastos. His stellar journalism skills earned Anastos an abundance of awards. The Greek-American and renowned journalist has covered the most pivotal news stories over the last 3 decades. Ernie Anastos is the first New York TV anchor to receive the highly acclaimed Lifetime Emmy Award. Kalimera, Ernie.
Thank you, Yanna. It's so nice to be here. I love your studio. This is great. This is very Greek, and I love that. Anything about Greece is so important to me. I just love the Greek culture and family and everything that's part of what makes me who I am.
Yes, it does make you who you are, and you are much loved, Ernie. Not only amongst the Americans, but the Greeks love you.
I love them back. I love them back. That's for sure. I mean, I'm so happy to be on television all these years and to represent in many ways, the Greek community and the Greek culture. And to me, it's an honor. And when people come up to me, especially who are Greek and the young children who I love so much, and when I see their faces and I can tell that they're proud that the name, represents something, and I like that. But it's an encouragement for them, I think, to become whatever they want to be, because that's something that I always push. Be everything that you can be. Understand your God-given talents. Take advantage of that and turn into whatever it is that's going to make your life important. One of the things that I talk about to especially a lot of young children, I talk about not looking for success in life, but looking for significance. What makes you someone who people will look at and will learn something from you, and you are an example of a good individual who is trying to help others and is trying to be enthusiastic about life and giving back in some way. That's very important to me.
Ernie is one of the most positive people I know. You are a light bulb. That's the only way I can describe you. And when you walk into a room, when you just anywhere you are, you're full of love and light, and you're so wonderful to everyone.
And do you know why? And I'll tell you why, Yanna. Because it comes from home. It comes from where I grew up and how I grew up. In a Greek-American home, where we were very proud of who we were. My grandfather, he was a priest, Papou Anastasios Anastasiou. And he was one of the first 100 ordained priests in America. He was a pioneer in the church. And I loved him, and my dad, of course, and my mom, and everybody in the family. But they taught us values.
Brothers and sisters?
Brothers and sisters. I have 2 wonderful sisters, Georgia and Maria. They both live in Massachusetts.
And you grew up in New Hampshire?
And I grew up in New Hampshire, but I grew up in a very interesting environment. It was a Greek community. The church was on the street where we lived. The Greek supermarket was there, the Cafenio, everything. It was all Greek.
Greek town.
Greek town. It was fabulous. But we grew up understanding that life was to be lived, that we had enthusiasm in our hearts, and that we had challenges ahead. But we respected, we respected ourselves and we respected other people. Philotimo. This is so important to understand, and that has given me what you described, this enthusiasm and this light, because it comes from all of that, and my strong belief in God. And I think that's a very important part of my life, spirituality. Do you know that on Saturday nights, Saturday nights.
I believe anything you say,
I'm telling you,
you always say the truth.
I do. I hope I do. I have a wonderful routine at home. And I have my little thimiado, and I light the charcoal, and I have my thimiama, and I put it on top, and I walk around the house, and I bless the rooms.
Bravo.
And when the children are there, I make them participate as well.
That's
and we have a little stavro. They take the stavro, and they pass it along. You do your stavro, you kiss the cross, and they smell it. And when the children turn around and they say, Papou, I love that smell. I love the thimiado. That's an important thing. And I've done that almost all my life, and I hope I can continue to do that for as long as I live.
And you pass these values on to your children.
I do.
And that's the important part, and that's what we're trying to tell the Greek American community. It's important for the new generation to pass on the traditions and the culture, and you are a stellar example. I mean, you really are.
Well, we believe so much in diversity, and we've talked about that. It's so much a part of America, and we are part of this great mosaic. And it's a beautiful thing to have, especially when you're living in New York, because this is the crossroads of the world right here.
Absolutely.
And when you look at what we are contributing, and I'm so proud of Greek Americans who are doing so well, whatever it happens to be, whether it's in politics or in entertainment, in government, in education, in the medical field, when I see all of that happening, it does make me proud. And I think that young children use that as a role model, which is very important to their own development, to be able to look up at somebody and say, you know, I admire this person, I would like to be like that. We all need that.
Yes.
I needed that when I was growing up as well.
So who was your idol?
I would say, first of all, you know, family. I really feel that my grandfather, my father, my mother, those people who are around me, including my uncles and aunts, were role models for me. But as a child, I liked television. I liked radio, especially. And I used to sit underneath a kitchen table, and I would take the radio and put it up next to my ear, and I would listen to the radio. I was only like 10 years old. And when the announcer would speak, I would turn it down, and then I would speak, and then I would turn the music up. And then I built a little radio station in the basement. I had all my friends come over, and we had microphones, and we would produce programs. At 16 years old, I went to the local station, and I was still in high school. I applied for a job, and he said, "You have a good voice. Sit down and read for me," and he gave me my own show.
So that's how you started in media?
Yeah, that was it. I had a little talk show for teenagers, and then I continued through college and all the way. I haven't been off the air since 16 years old.
That's unbelievable.
So it's a part of my life.
It definitely is, and over 30 years you've been covering the news. Then you came to New York, and was that a change for you from New Hampshire? You came to ABC.
Well, my first position in television was in Providence, Rhode Island, and I really loved it there. I was on the air. I did the news for 2 years. And then all of these offers came along, and I was so grateful for it. And New York was my first choice. So we came to New York in 1978 at Eyewitness News, Channel 7, and I was there for 12 years. I loved it there. I had a great time, and I would have stayed, but CBS had made me an offer, and it was something that sort of pulled me, and I had a tough decision to make, but I went to CBS, and I had a great time there as well, working with so many people. And then I also had another offer from Fox to be able to help them build up their station at Channel 5, and I did that. So every place that I've been, I've enjoyed it. And I've made such great friends, and I think I can look at people in this city. In fact, when I received an award, there was a Lifetime Emmy Award, and I looked out at this room, and there were probably about 800 people there. And when I accepted the award, I said, you know what? I probably have worked with all of you in this room, but if I haven't, I will someday.
Absolutely.
So it's such a network of fantastic people who all do such great work in this. I'm very proud of the people who are on television, radio, and journalists.
I mean, you've had an amazing career, and you've met some amazing people. You've interviewed Fidel Castro, President Carter, George Bush, President Clinton, Gorbachev, and Desmond Tutu, just to name a few. You've covered all the major stories.
What an experience that's
What an
been.
experience.
Really
What are some moments that have remained with you?
You know, Yanna, I think if we're talking about major news stories, I like to focus on the positive stories, but I must tell you that probably the deepest story, the most difficult story was 9/11. That was something that touched all of us because it was right here, but the severity of that story and the depth of how we felt emotionally about this story cannot be compared to anything. And I remember being on the air. I remember going down to Ground Zero 2 days after the attack and standing there and feeling everything that had happened at that moment. But the weeks and the months that transpired and doing the personal stories about those individuals who had lost their lives and those people who were left behind and the trauma that the city of New York felt, that the country and the world felt, has stayed with me forever. And I have a little prism, a little piece of glass that was given to me by the New York Police Department and Fire Department. And it's a little chunk of glass. I get really emotional when I talk about it. And maybe I shouldn't talk about it because it does get to me, but it's a little piece of glass from that day that I cherish because everything that happened is in that piece of glass, in that prism. But that was probably the most difficult and powerful story I've ever covered, ever.
It's
I hope we never
remained
have to do
with
that
it. Yes,
again,
it's
ever.
remained absolutely not. I mean, and since then, America has changed and New York has changed.
Yes, yes, the world has changed in
The
many
world
ways.
has changed.
And we're going in so many different directions. You know, I love the media. The internet has changed everything. When I first started in 1978 in New York, we only had 3 or 4 or 5 channels.
Yes.
And around the country, you only had, 3 major networks.
Yes.
and then the internet.
1,000
and
channels
cable.
now.
It's incredible. So we have so much information now. When we go on the news at night, we could have a lead story from anywhere in the world. It could be from Colorado or Cairo. It doesn't matter. The resources that we have, we can cover every story now. And it's made my work certainly more exciting, a little more intense in many ways because we have so many choices to make. But I love it. I love it.
So, from all these wonderful people that you've interviewed, who has left a mark on you?
You know, that's a tough question because you listed a number of people. I would say almost every individual that I've talked to has left me with something. I think when you're looking at a president and asking them questions that are difficult for them to answer in many ways because there's a security issue involved, national security, you start thinking in your own mind, my goodness, what is this person not telling me? When I talked to Fidel Castro, I started seeing the history in his face of the revolution. I started thinking about all of the Bay of Pigs invasion. I started thinking of everything that had happened with him in that leadership role. So when I'm interviewing somebody, it's not just the questions I'm asking, but it's the impressions that I get. But I'm going to ask you something, because this is kind of fun to do. I do a radio series on WOR about positive minutes. And I ask this question. I say, okay, can you name the last 5 people who won an Academy Award? Can you name the last 5 people who won the Heisman Trophy? Can you name the last 5 people who won a Nobel Prize? It's very difficult to answer those questions.
That's correct.
And these are people
That's correct.
that we should know about because they have really accomplished great things in life. But let me ask you this question. Can you name 2 people who are always there for you when you need them?
My parents.
There you go. Can you name
That's the easiest question.
See? Can you name a teacher who was very good to you at one time in your life?
Absolutely, my professors at college.
See, if you ask
Those
people,
are, yes, those are.
But here's the point, Yanna. When we are talking about people who are significant in our lives, as important as some of these individuals are who have won great awards and have accomplished marvelous things in their life, the ones that we remember the most are the people that love us and we love them back. It's a personal thing. So that's my answer to you in a way that, you know, yes, I've interviewed a lot of famous people, but the ones that really stand out and have significance in my life, my family, my wife, my children, my parents, my sisters, that's the heart of life.
Let's talk about Ernie at home, because
Yes.
Ernie does some wonderful things at home.
Absolutely.
I want to hear about your favorite dishes, what the kids like to eat. Tell me about life at home with Ernie.
Okay, I'm a real homebody. I really have always loved being home. So when I'm there, I'm always doing things. I'm either preparing some food with my wife.
What kind of food? What's your favorite dish?
I love yemista. I mean, when we went to Greece this past summer, I think I had a salad and stuffed tomatoes every day. I love them.
With meat or without?
Both.
Both, okay.
With or without. But I love it.
What part of Greece are your parents from? Let's start.
My father was born in Larissa. Actually, it was just outside of Larissa. It's a little Chorió. And my mother's family came from Trikala. But my mother was born in Lowell, Massachusetts. So they all, you know, became part of this country. But we've kept all the traditions. So I cook at home. I play Greek music. We dance a lot. I have a karaoke machine. And I love Frank Sinatra. You know, the summer wind is blowing in.
Oh, you got some good, you have a good voice there.
I love it. I do that. I'll sing with my karaoke. We play a lot of games and sports and activities. I ride my bicycle. I love golf. I love art.
You're in great shape. I mean, you are
Not
in
bad.
amazing
Don't
shape.
give me the mati now.
Oh, no,
Careful.
doof, doof, doof.
No, because I have the prayer for the mati too. You know, they call me up. People will call me up and say, I say, Ime Matias menos, you know, and I do the prayer for them. So that I'll call them up and say, you're fine.
Feel
you know?
better now?
Yeah, I do. Well, someone taught me the prayer, and then I, you know, taught it to one other person. But these things are so ingrained in me, and when someone, you know, asks me, you know, why I feel the way I do, and I must say, not because this is a Greek program, but I must say that so much of this goes back to being a Greek, to have an understanding of our culture, which is so beautiful. I love doing the Greek parade, and we talk about all the accomplishments that the Greek people have given us over centuries, and I'm so proud of that. It's important.
Well, you are a powerhouse, Ernie, and
Thank you,
again,
so are you.
Well, thank you.
I applaud you for what you do too. You know, This new Greek TV is very important, and I think that you're trying to do the same thing. You're perpetuating those values and those ideals that are so much a part of who we are in our culture. And I applaud you and your organization for doing that. It's a great service. It really is.
Thank you. And what we're trying to do is present people such as yourself that are making a difference.
Thank you.
And you're keeping Hellenism alive, and you're representing the Greeks in the United States. You're wonderful. I can't thank you enough for being here. Kalimera USA. I want you to leave our viewers with a message.
You know, we've said this before. When people ask me about my enthusiasm and how I feel, I go back to a Greek philosopher who's not identified, but he said, I have a wish to die young, but as late in life as possible. And my message is to have a youthful heart, a youthful attitude, to understand that there are so many things for us to do out there. Never feel like you've been there and done that. Always look for the new challenge. Always feel that you are young at heart. Believe in God and become everything that you possibly can be.
Ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful Ernie Anastos.
Thank you, Yanna.
Thank you so much.